Good morning, students. Today is 4/29/2020, and we are learning Matthew 16. So, you have already read the beginning part of Matthew 16 in Mark, right? So this is the part where the Pharisees and the Sadducees tell Jesus that he must give them a sign from heaven. But Jesus says to them, "The evil and unfaithful generation seek a sign. No sign will given except for the sign of Jonah." And what that kind of means is Jonah was swallowed up by the whale, right? So no sign's going to be given to you except death. Like, if you need God to prove himself to you before you can choose him, if you can't see God in your fellow man, in the people around you, in the universe, if God has to prove himself to you, that's not how God works. God doesn't have to show himself to you. You have to choose God. So that one's pretty easy to understand. Then the same thing as the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. We already went over that. You already understand that, hopefully. If you don't, go back to our chapters and mark about it. What we need to learn today, the key of today's lesson, is verses 13 through 20. You see, we have talked about all year the fact that I'm Catholic and many of you are Catholic, but some of you are Baptist, some of you are just Christian, some of you are Pentecostal. Many of you are dealing with the fact that you feel that you may be more Catholic and your parents or your brothers or your sisters are another branch of Christianity. Well, today we're going to talk about a passage that really gets to the bottom of the word church. Is there one Christian church? Are there 3,300 Christian churches? Which one's the real church, right? How do we know which one's the right church? So in America, we have 3,300 plus different types of Christianity. So in America alone, there are 3,300 different types of Christian churches. Okay? The largest one in the world is the Roman Catholic Church. And our school is a Roman Catholic Church school. But from there, we have many big and very important churches, including the Orthodox churches, the various Protestant churches, and so on and so forth, all the way down to church communities that only have 2 or 3 members in them. So how do we find which one's the true church? Well, that's what Catholics are going to point at today's reading. So I'll read it with you. Peter's confession about Jesus, verse 13. When Jesus went into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" They replied, "Some say you're John the Baptist, others say you're Elijah, still others say you're Jeremiah or one of the prophets." Jesus said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter said in reply, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." Jesus said to him in reply, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father." So Jesus is saying to Peter, whoa, you must be really special because nobody on earth told you that. Nobody on earth knows that about me. So if you know that, you must be talking to God. If you have the ability to identify me as the Son of Man, then God the Father must be working in you. You, Simon, are special. And then he goes on. For flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my heavenly Father. And so I say to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. And the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdoms of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. What just happened? Well, first of all, we have to look at the word ecclesia to understand what is happening here. Then we got to take a look at the pronoun that immediately comes before the word ecclesia. Okay, so the word church in Greek is ecclesia. That's E-K-K-L-E-I-S-I-A. E-K-K-L-E-S-I-A. Now, the word ecclesia never meant a building. We, in 2020, when we close our eyes and hear the word church, we think of a building, right? That's normal. That's timeless, right? But the word church never meant a building, especially in the time of Jesus' people. The word ecclesia, the word church, literally meant my people, my special people, Okay, now we got to be even more careful. If Jesus says that he's going to build a community on Peter, that's kind of important, but not really. If he says he's going to build the community on Peter, that's kind of important, but not really. But Jesus says my. You see, that word makes all the difference in the world. You see, if I own a hat, it's not a holy hat. If my Uncle Pete owns a hat, it's not a particularly holy hat. But if we had Jesus Christ's hat, now that's the holy hat. You see, Jesus doesn't say, Peter, you're going to be in charge of a community. He doesn't say you're going to be in charge of the community. He says you are going to be in charge of my community. It means that once Jesus is gone, he has a special plan for this special people who are going to continue on his mission. And he calls them a church. You see, Jesus says before he dies that there is going to be one church that is the special one. There's going to be one church that is his body, that is his church. And to find out what church that is, you need to find who? He forever links this church to who? To Peter. Now, he changes Peter's name immediately. Peter's name was always Simon. His name was Simon, 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 Simon. But then Jesus tells Peter, you are Petros. You are the rock upon which I will build my church. Rock in Greek is Petros. So it's not Jesus is just changing Peter's name, like me changing my name to Max or Simon or Carlton. Jesus is literally saying to Peter, listen, you're rocky. You are the foundation. You are going to be the centerpiece from which I'm going to build my community after I'm gone. So, Peter, what does he get to do with this new community? What's special about him? Well, let me tell you. You are Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church. The gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. So the devil and hell and demons, they will not defeat Peter. Peter and this church, this special body of Christians, the devil is going to attack it. The devil is going to try to destroy it. The demons are trying to beat it, but they will not win. Other things about Peter in this church. He will get the keys to the kingdom of heaven. So how are people going to go to heaven? People are going to go to heaven through this church. And whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. That means that this church is going to have the authority of heaven for teaching. It means that when Peter speaks as the head of this church, he has the true authority of Jesus Christ. He has the authority of God to teach the truth, to say what is true on earth, that's what's true on heaven. What's false on earth, that's what's false in heaven. You see, the Catholic Church is going to point to this passage to say, we are Jesus Christ's true church. Well, how can they say that? Why or how is the Catholic Church connected to St. Peter? That will be your assignment.